So I just wanted to do a very quick update video on my racing setup. Basically not a whole lot to say. I have put in loads and loads of hours with this wheel now and the Playseat challenge, and it just works flawlessly. I'm playing WRC10 at the minute on my new Sony X90J, which is just a joy to use. Because it's rally, I've used the sequential plate on the TH8A. Works flawlessly, as does the clutch down here. I've still got the squash ball behind the brake pedal, so that feels really nice. The fan mod I did to this wheel, again, works perfectly. You might be able to hear it. The wheel cut power once and only once, and that was this summer we had a really hot summer and it was very humid at times. I was playing GT7 for like 3 or 4 hours straight on one of those really hot humid nights. I think it was around 30, what was it, about 34 degrees Celsius in the room I was playing in with no ventilation. It cut the power, so the wheel was like less than half the strength that it would normally be, and that so I turned the wheel off that night for like half an hour, turned it back on and it was fine, and I reduced the force feedback strength in GT7 just for that one night, and it didn't cut out again. That was the only time it's done it, and I've put in, fuck knows, maybe 300 hours with this wheel. Maybe a bit less, maybe about 250 hours, and everything just works perfectly with it. The low down shifter plate hasn't moved an inch, and that's really saying something, because I've got the mod cambio thing in this shifter, which gives you a much more clunky shifter feel, and that puts a lot more torque like on this plate, and it still doesn't move at all. One small correction I need to make in my video where I reviewed this is you have these rubber inserts just here. In the original video I used 2 thin inserts, and that was incorrect. It made this slide down. You meant to use 1 thick and 1 thin one. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. But there's like a thick one on one side and then a thin one on the other, and there should be a gap here when you do the bolts up. That gap is making sure that there's enough tension on this tube so it won't spin around. You don't need to over tighten it or you'll strip them out, but it just works perfectly. It's so solid, and I have no complaints. Again, these are quite useful, just nice on your elbows. The only other mod I did, which I showed in another video, was put some felt on there. Hopefully you can see that, and that just tightens this thing up, so you hear that? It grips it much nicer, and that massively reduces vertical wobble. So yeah, that's all there is to really say. I have seen the video for the new Logitech direct drive wheel, and I probably will buy that in like a year or two. Basically, I want to wait until Logitech bring out a stick shifter which is at least as good as this, because this is just brilliant. The Logitech shifter is pretty shit, I'm not gonna lie. So you won't hear sound because I use headphones, but it's also in manual, so it's going to be really hard to drive with one hand, but yeah, I can't drive one-handed. But this is kind of like a sound test for the wheel when it's in use. Anyone looking to get the T300, I would fully recommend it, but I would say it's almost essential to do that fan mod. Oh, that's no good. I can't even shift gears with one hand, so I probably should have put it in automatic before I started this video. But yeah, all in all, it's been just faultless and really fun to use. WRC10 has brilliant force feedback as well. It's not great on tarmac or like really loose surfaces like this snow, because you don't get a ton of feedback, but if you're on gravel, it just feels amazing, and it's really powerful as well. So yeah, I'll just try and do some of this stage one-handed for a bit of a sound test. I'll have to restart this stage because I'm 5 seconds behind, because I'm stuck in 5th gear. I need to get a tripod and film myself like racing. Probably give you a better idea. And this TV is absolutely stunning as well. WRC10 has a 120 FPS mode, and it's like real life. Like it's so smooth to play. And the HDR is brilliant. It's plenty bright enough. I'm on about the TV overall. WRC10 isn't the best looking game graphically, and the HDR implementation is pretty terrible, to be honest. Like, you can barely even tell it has HDR. I'm not even sure if it has HDR natively, or the PS5 is kind of like baking it into the game. A better example would be a GT7. Like, GT7 just looks absolutely stunning on this TV. No noticeable input lag whatsoever. The only downside with this TV is you do get some light blooming. I've only really noticed it in loading screens, credits, and also I tried that game, what was it? Deliver Us the Moon. And there's some scenes in that where it's like black space with like stars and your heads-up display, and you can get blooming around that. The best way to solve that is to turn your brightness down if you're playing in a dark room, because that's the only time you'd really notice the blooming anyway. And also you can get bias lighting to stick behind the TV, which I'm gonna get when I next get paid, because the kit I want is quite expensive, but it would help reduce eye strain when viewing in the dark anyway. But I'll probably do a separate video on the TV itself. This is more about the sim racing rig. Oh, I might just stick with that, even though I drove terribly with one hand. Kind of depends if I'll win the entire rally or not. I'll check that off camera. But yeah, very happy with it. I fully recommend this low down shifter mount. It's the only mount that really exists, specifically for the TH8A on a Playseat challenge, but it would work on any rig you've got that has a tube kind of design, so anything roughly this diameter, maybe a bit bigger or smaller. So yeah, hope this helps. Fully recommend the T300, but what I would say, I think I've said in a previous video, is I'd buy it all used. I don't see the point in buying it new. There's so many like unwanted gifts, or guys that tried out the hobby, like they bought a wheel brand new, tried it for like a few weeks and got bored and boxed it up. That's how I bought everything. This I bought for like 120, I think it was. You'll have to check my previous videos where I spoke about it, but it was in brand new condition with the box and manual. The guy just couldn't get on with it. The shifter I got used, but again it came with the box and manual, everything you need, for like a fraction of the price of what it would be new. There's no need to buy this kind of stuff brand new, in my opinion, as long as you can go and meet the guy who's selling it and get some proof that it works before you buy. I bought all these things kind of locally on Facebook and eBay, so I could go and see them working before I gave them the cash. and yeah, I couldn't be happier. I'll just show, there's my cable tidy. Kind of keeps all the main cables down here and out the way, and out the way from my feet. Then I've got the a USB extension there, and that works, there it is, and that works flawlessly as well, as does the squash ball behind the brake pedal. So yeah, it's just a fucking brilliant, I guess you'd call it an entry-level setup. But I'll probably keep the Playseat when I do get a direct drive wheel. There's a few mods out there from Lowdown Shifter, the company that makes this. If you just Google Lowdown Shifter, they do quite a few mods for the Playseat, which will make it way more rigid and more suitable for a high torque direct drive wheel. But as it is, the stock Playseat is perfect. Like for this wheel, it handles the torque fine, and this only has, I think it's 4 Newton meters, so it's not that powerful anyway, but it still feels great. So yeah, that's the update on the sim racing setup, and I'm really happy with it.